everybody's concentrating on you and not the show. I think that's why they haven't had me back. Oh, by the way, next January, I think, you'll see me in The Simpsons. I got a new Simpsons. Thank me for the white glamorous enough.
You got a question or two?
I know you weren't into the new Wolverine, but you know how you like Robert Downey Jr. playing Iron Man? Do you feel that Hugh Jackman fills the role as Wolverine?
Do you think Hugh Jackman's as good as Wolverine as Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man?
Yes.
He's very good at it?
I think the two of them are just perfect in their role. It's just that Robert Downey's role is so much more complex and sophisticated. But Jackman is wonderful. He's terrific. In fact, I understand they just signed him to a contract to do the next three Wolverines at an amount of money that I can't hardly believe.
So there's going to be 3 more Wolverines?
Sounds like.
I know you appeared in Mallrats, Stan. By the way, it's awesome to meet you. I've come from Australia for this. But yeah, you appeared in Mallrats, and I was just wondering, what was the first cameo you ever did?
He was saying he saw you in Mallrats. I want to know the first cameo you've ever done.
Yes, Max. Very important. Can you get a picture of this whole group? My wife would never believe this. If you could just take a picture so she could see all the people that I'm talking to. Wow. Now, Mallrats, what was the question?
You were saying you saw you in Mallrats not long ago, and you want to know what was the very first cameo that you ever did.
I don't know if that was the first. Well, wait a minute, that wasn't a cameo. I was a star. That was a role I played. I'll tell you a funny thing about it. In the Mallrats thing, I was lecturing this guy who ended up having his own series on television, not because of my lecture, but I was lecturing him about the fact that don't feel bad because this girl rejected you and there'll be other girls and it's not the end of the world. And there was once a girl that I loved and I lost her and I never got over it, but I went on with my life and so forth. When I got home, my wife said, "Tell me more about that." I said, "Honey, it's a movie." Boy, it took me a long time and a lot of questions to get on her good side again. You gotta watch out the roles you get in the movies.
You're just too good at it. Too believable.
That's right, I'm such a great actor.
Anyone else? At the back.
What happens if we run out of questions? We just sit around and look at each other.
Based on your relationship for a feud you've had.
Do you have any stories that were based on some of your own relationships or interactions with your wife?
Where did you meet your wife?
Oh, where did you meet your wife?
Oh, that's a long story. No, I have not used my own life in any stories at all. My life is too glamorous. I never saw this book. I met my wife, well, when I was young, I was a cartoonist. I drew a lot. Most guys, unless they're gay, they usually draw pictures of what they think is the most beautiful girl. And I, for years, had drawn one picture of a face and a figure, and to me, that was my ideal female. I'd never meet anybody that great, but that's what I thought a girl should look like. So one day, a friend of mine arranged a blind date for me with a girl at a model agency. And I went up there. This girl opens the door, and she wasn't the girl I was supposed to meet. This was the head model who happened to be at the door. She opened the door, and she had an English accent, and boy, that throws me with that. I love English. I love you. And I looked at her, and it was the face and figure I had been drawing all my life. And I think I said something like, "I love you." And anyway, I took her to lunch. And we got married shortly thereafter. I never did meet the girl I was supposed to have the date with. But I wasn't about to let Joni get away, and that's what happened. So I was always very grateful to the friend who got me the blind date with the girl that I never met.
Any other questions? Yeah, last one.
I was just wondering, you could tell us any information about the job that you had during World War II.
Some story about the job you had during World War II.
Oh, I was in the Signal Corps, and I trained to go overseas, and I was to climb. In those days, they had poles with wires for communication. I was the guy who climbed the poles. I had to go ahead of the infantry and put those wires up so they could communicate with each other. Dangerous job. But I was well trained. Even today, you should see me climb a pole. I was all set to be shipped overseas, and they found out that I had been writing comics. And for some reason, they were looking for another writer in their training film and training book division. And they whisked me away practically at the pier and sent me to their film school, their division where they did training films and manuals. And I was with William Saroyan and some big directors and writers. I didn't understand. I didn't fit with them, but there I was. And my job was to, oh, I didn't tell you this. I won the war single-handedly. Now, this doesn't sound glamorous, but it was important. They were having trouble training payroll officers. They didn't have enough payroll officers because it took too long to train them. Now, that meant there were guys overseas in foxholes getting their butts shot off, but they weren't getting paid in time because we didn't have enough payroll officers, and it was wrecking hell with morale. It was like Mission Impossible. My job, if I would consent to do it, I had to find a way to rewrite the training manual so that they could learn them faster and get them through the school faster. So I created a cartoon character called Fiscal Freddy, and I made a game out of it. All the things that the payroll officer had to know and had to do, I put on one big page, and I made it like a game. He had to go from start to finish, but he had to be able to do every one of the things in order to get to the finish. And Fiscal Freddy became very popular, and we started turning out these payroll officers faster than ever. And I got an award and congratulations from the commanding general. And I'm too modest to say this myself, but I really think I won the war myself. I'd like to say it was during a big battle, but it was in my office while I was doing Fiscal Freddy. And that's the story. That doesn't go over that well. Maybe you should tell a different story.
I think they'd all love to hear a different story.
All right.
Better one?
So, Fiscal Freddy for now.
Go ahead.
Stan, if you could reinvent any of your characters in today's world, would you have made any changes to their origin?
If you could reinvent any of your characters in today's world, what would they be different?
No, I think they stay the way they are, pretty much, except I'd update the stories. But I think the characters, the way they are, had nothing to do with the world they were living in. It was just the way they are. Like I was the same wonderful guy 20, 30, 40 years ago that I am today. Now, maybe I'm a little more wonderful today.
And what story would change?
Anyone else? You on? Go ahead.
Who would win, Hulk or Thor?
Who's going to win?
Good question.
Hulk or Thor?
Depends who's writing the story. I'm always asked who would win in a fight. And I have to keep reminding the interrogator, these are fictitious characters. You can make any one of them win.
At the back there.
I could do a story where Aunt May beat the Hulk if I had.
I think that would be. Go ahead, Matt. What was that again? What's your average day like now?
Well, I have a company called POW Entertainment, POW, which I'm sure you've all figured out stands for Purveyors of Wonder. And we do movies and television and books and stuff, and internet stuff. And I go to the office and work on all the projects we're working on, and it's a hell of a lot of fun. Did I tell them about The Annihilator? We have a movie that we're working on called The Annihilator. And it's going to be a combination Chinese-American production. Because we're working, in my own way, I'm doing what I can to foster better relationships between the Chinese and the Americans. When that happens, I'm sure I'll receive some sort of reward. But until then, I'm just making movies. So this is going to be a great movie, we think. And that's one of the things we're working on. We also have a line of children's books that we're publishing. I don't know if you've seen any. We have one called Monsters versus Kittens, which is kind of cute for little kids. We also, I have an animated movie that will appear on the Hub channel, if you know what the Hub channel is. It's based on some comic books I did recently called Stan Lee's Mighty Seven. And this person at the Hub channel liked it and decided to do it as a movie that you'll put on the channel. And then we're going to try to sell it as a real movie. And we're doing we're working on some video games. I don't play them, but it's fun designing them. And whatever there is to do, we're doing it. It's fun. And it keeps me busy. And my wife doesn't say, take out the garbage.
Rick, at the very back here, we'll get you in for a while. He wants to know if you're coming back next year. If you're going to be here next year.
Well, I don't know if, is it a matter of, I don't know if he's saying that because he's figuring if you are, boy, I'm not coming. It means he wants more. It's hard to know. I can't evaluate that remark. If I'm invited, I love coming here. I love Toronto. I love the people. You're all a difficult crowd, but most of them.
I have a question for you, Stan.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, okay. With today's technology, with Twitter and Facebook and the way information gets across so different kids, do you think comic books and the characters would have been done any differently with the media of today?
Well, physically they have been different, but I think the stories would have been the same.
Yeah.
Things keep changing so fast. One day there may not be any books anymore.
Yeah.
In fact, even today, magazines are going to, Newsweek magazine, one of the biggest, now they're just on the internet, or you get it on the, and language is changing, because kids, when they tweet it, when they, what's the other word you do when you,
Text?
text, yeah, when they text, they have abbreviations for all the words, as you know, you probably do it too. So after a while, those abbreviations are going to become the way you spell the word. And everything, the computer has made everything so different. Things are advancing so quickly today. 10 years from now, you can't imagine, neither can I, what the world will be like 10 years from now. But everything will be so different because things are just moving at the most rapid pace. I love it. I wish, if I were a zombie, I'd like to come back and see it. Wouldn't eat up anymore.